Hello, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. This is my second try today. Welcome to the live class with Karina Pang, the man whisperer and the last resort. And ladies, today is my birthday. And to celebrate half century of Karina, I'm having this live class just for you guys. So I'm not usually a birthday kind of person. I don't never really grew up loving birthdays because it's just a kind of a reminder that that I'm a year older and I'm not a fan of like everyone else. I'm not a fan of getting old. I know it's vain, right? But here I am, I cannot avoid it. Anyway, instead of just like sulking on these supposedly happy days, so I'll be just here and answering your questions. And then, as usual, whenever we have a live class, whenever I came back from my hiatus for maybe a week or a month, and it's a given with Karina that we have great piece of engagement news, among other things. And last July, we had 11 engagements, right? This August, it's already like at least 5 ladies got engaged or got married. So to you ladies, again, congratulations. And hopefully you have the relationship you always wanted. And hopefully you will stay fabulous even after you got the guy. Not just change yourself, bend over backward to get the guy, and then you go back to your old annoying self. Don't do that, please. All right. How are you, ladies? Those who just arrived, hi, Grace. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Lindodu. I never know how you have to pronounce your name, Lindodu. So, whoever just arrived, say hello or hi or like or love this video or share it. So maybe some people can learn a thing or two about how to become a feminine goddess, or to learn a thing or two how to be happy no matter where you are in your life. Okay, how to live life struggle free. That's all I ever teach. So I have to remind you, being struggle free has nothing whatsoever to do with where you are in life. Okay, you can be filled with struggle married, you can be filled with struggle single, you can be filled with struggle having no kids, you can be filled with struggle having kids, and the other vice versa. You also can have a struggle and worry-free life, single or married, childless or childful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm childless, but I am happy, and my life is pretty much struggle-free. Okay, so apart from today, I was kind of bummed. Like, I already got in the tub, and the machine was running, and it was a hot day. I was talking to myself for at least half an hour, not knowing that, the computer already froze on me. So, and only recorded like about 3 minutes of it. So yeah, I was so exhausted and I was so bummed by it, but that is life. Shit happens, right? So now here I am back after my rest, talking to you again, starting over. Hopefully this time around, nothing happened. Okay. Again, if you just tune in, ladies, please like or love or react to this live class. So you help me getting this class on the news feed, and I will really appreciate it. That at least like a treatment for yours truly here, who is having a birthday today, and not just a birthday. It's like a 50th birthday. Right, I'm 50. Can you imagine? So I never thought I would be 50, but here I am. All right. So where were we? Now, I would like to read an email from one of you ladies. Thank you to all for always updating me with your, progress. And I always love reading your email. Okay, so let me read one of them. This is from Veronica. Veronica just got married, and that's why, she emailed me. Other than that, she got 5 classes, and then she came with the news. Class twice already, and I gained new insights. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not Veronica. This is Veronica. I'm writing to you to let you know that your engagement or marriage factory recently produced another one. Me and my EUM got married on June 22nd. Yay! You and your EUM. That makes me happy and kind of validated in a way, because a lot of ladies often ask me, have you had any experience turning an EUM into a fiance or engaged or husband? Yeah, I said quite a few actually. I've done it so many times, and this is one of them. So congratulations, Veronica, and thank you for letting me know again. Let me read the rest of your email. The story is, he was my ex from a long time ago, who I could not forget, and frankly always regretted that we broke up. He kept contacting me throughout all these years and never let me go, really. A couple of years ago, I got fed up by my already ex-husband's behavior, quietly started a rotation to detach emotionally. And as part of that, reconnected with that guy from the past. We eventually met up. He said the L word, and we became long distance as I was living in a different country. Very quickly, I got too hung up on him emotionally, became needy, pushy, and all the things low value. Ouch. Due to that, our connection was going down the drain and was pretty much non-existent by July 2017. That month, he disappeared for 10 days. This is when I started to desperately look for some help other than filling messages and psychotherapy, which was expensive and not working anyway. After 8 days of his disappearance, I started to feel better, and to my surprise, stronger. No contact always came natural to me. And this is when I found you. I started with the ebook and finished reading it, feeling a happy person. One day later, he contacted me again. I was a different person already. I fired up my rotation, got a new and way better job, completed the training that allowed me to be in a lead position at work, found a better school for my child, and fully focused on your teachings. In November, he sniffed out about my rotation, and 3 weeks later was in my country on a few days visit. I just enjoyed my time with him. He was devastated he had to leave when it was time for him to go back. The L word was sounding again. He asked to be exclusive while being long distance. But this time I took his words and the whole situation with a grain of salt. Okay, not just a grain, a lot of it. And was open about it. After that, I don't remember a day going without him calling at least twice a day. And these were really long calls with messaging in between. He visited again in 2 months. This time he came with a diamond ring. Maybe you remember, I was not sure if it was an engagement ring since we still were long distance. So I just treated it as a piece of fine jewelry, no expectations whatsoever. In April, he visited me again, this time to spend half of a year with me. I was impressed and still sort of didn't quite believe that he was serious or that we would be able to go on that long. Just kept soaking up Journey Inward and your classes. He knew that if he wanted to stay with me, we'll have to get married. In the end of May, he proposed. I was not convinced since it was still early days. By mid-June, he was almost pressuring me to become his wife. I gave in. On June 22nd, and he is the sweetest. Thank you very much, Kat, for changing my life. I'm still learning, but it feels so weird to remember myself of just half a year ago. Lost and miserable, torn apart by my own doubts, insecurities, and low self-esteem. Thank you for pulling me out of this pit. It's funny that now that I'm married to this wonderful guy, I don't feel entitled and perceive marriage for what it is as a mere formality. I feel so lucky I came across your works. It is so good to be me now. Oh, and another funny thing I have to share. He is a cat guy and used to have cats. But in the apartment where I live, pets are not allowed. So one day he told me out of the blue, he doesn't even miss this when he's with me, and he doesn't know why. Looks like I became a true cat girl. P.S. I signed up for your Feminine Magnetism Module 1, which is Journey Inward. And we'll sign up for Module 5, Salvation through Relationship as well. I'm looking forward to it, as well as to the time when you decide to start schooling coaches. I cannot wait to bring your teachings to Russian girls. Big squeezy hug. Big squeezy hug for you, Veronica, and thank you for believing in me, for believing in the teachings, for wanting to be one of cat coaches one day maybe. So I don't know when I'm going to start the certification process, but I know when the time is right, it will just happen. Because I no longer do things because I think I should, or because other people is doing it, or because it's good for my career. I don't do anything anymore out of ambition. That's to me ambition. Just because everyone else is doing it, we should. Everything else that I do, I do it because it feels right to me. It feels easy. It feels effortless. Because again, to be happy in life, to be peaceful, to come to inner peace at all, the path and the destinations have to be one. So if your path, if the journey is less exciting to you than the goal or the destinations, then you haven't arrived yet. Only when the path is the destination, or when uh, your work is also your play, only when your vocations is also your vocations, then you have arrived to inner peace. Okay, so whatever I do, it has to feel easy and natural. So if I'm struggling, it means it's not the time yet. So I'd rather put that aside until it feels easy and natural. So, and if it never feels easy and natural, then I just accept it's not me, it's not for me. Okay, so that's how I live my life. A life that is sorrow free, struggle free, worry free. And you can have that too, right here, right now. You don't have to wait until you got engaged to your EOM, or you got engaged at all. Not until you get married, or not until you won win $1 million lotto or lottery. Not until you have kids. Not until you have a beautiful house, or whatever it is that you put as a goal. Okay, if you wait until you come to that place, you got things that you think you want, and then some other things begin to come up again, saying, because the ego will never feel enough, whatever it is um, in life, you get used to very, very quickly. Okay, so you're always going to, or the ego is going to always raise the bar. So that's why you can never catch up with what the ego wants, right? Because it's endless. So ladies, whoever just arrived here, welcome to the live class. And if you have a question, you can write it down on the comment section. And to remind you ladies, because it's my birthday, I raise money for the Humane Society International. That is my favorite charity at the moment. Why animal, you say? Why not helping humans first? Because, I do believe that we can learn so much from animals. I write it down on the OP, or the original post. So read it. Why? Because animals teach us how to just be. Animals teach us how to experience pure joy through non-thinking. Because animals, luckily or not luckily, they don't have the capacity for obsessive thinking the way we humans do. So they're always more likely than not able to just surrender to the moment, whatever it is, even when the moment is not very forgiving, like when maybe they're being chased, to be eaten alive, for example. Animals can just let go whenever they get out of the situations, being chased by their predator, whatever it is. When they get out of that situation, they just go back to living in the moment as if nothing happened, right? So they have this capacity to just be, to just surrender to what life brings them moment to moment. Okay, and they have the capacity not to live in psychological time like we do. We always do live in psychological time. That is why we always in a state of struggling, because we always have this idea about a future that is so different than what we currently live. And we do by that illusion that as if we can get out of this like hellish moment, even though your moment right now is just, nothing wrong is happening. You have roof over your head, right? You are well fed. You are not in a war zone, for example, that your life is not being threatened, right? You're not under a threat of death or hunger or whatever it is. Most people still think that their life right here, right now is not good enough, and they're longing for some imagined future in which all the suffering will disappear or will end. Even though all the sufferings that they think they are uh, experiencing is only happening in their head at this very moment, right? Can you relate to that? That's why you always say, I'm stressed. And when you're asked, why are you stressed? Oh, my life is so hard. My kids are going to boarding schools or leaving home. So I'm going to be alone and lonely. And my UM hasn't called me in a week. And on and on and on. You come up with some stories, which if you really dissect further, those sub stories, they really have no basis, have very little substance. Because in reality, you're not, again, you live a very cozy life, right? You're not hungry. You're not under a threat of, like, say, political imprisonment, like when you live somewhere that, you cannot express your freedom of speech, for example. You live in a free country. Well, for most of us, anyway, right? And for those who are not living the way we do in the West, that we have our freedom. My empathy goes to you. Um, I'm sure your life is probably harder than ours here. If you want to talk about it, you can ask questions on the comment section and I'll dissect it further. Okay. But whatever it is, most of our life situations, most of our problems are really made up in our heads. You know, there is now no urgent thing that needs, uh, to be taken care of right here, right now, other than your imaginations of what causes you the stresses, right? So to have that kind of life like animals do, and this is thanks to Freckles Olivia, because she changed my life. She changed our life. You know, Freckles is such an advanced spiritual being. She is an angel sent from heaven by God himself or herself. That is how I feel about Freckles. She's so amazing. She's so stable emotionally. She is respectful of our space. She's very non-neurotic. She's very happy and peaceful more often than not. In fact, you know, I the only other person that is so non-neurotic other than myself that I know is Freckles. That's how I feel about Freckles. So we can learn so much from animals. They are wise actually. And finally, we always sort of think they are less evolved than us. I guess in some ways they are less evolved, right? And then we always sort of like accuse like very cruel human beings like animals. No, I don't believe cruel human beings are like animals. You know, cruel human beings are a species of its own. They're not like animals at all. Animals don't have that kind of cruelness in their bone, you see? And that is the result of what? Do you know? Do you know why people, human beings, can be so brutal and so cruel? What is it made of, that kind of cruelty? Thinking. Thinking is at the foundation of why we hate, of why we separate ourselves from the rest of humanity. Thinking is why we have so many conflicts in the world. So to say that animals, that human beings are so brutal and so cruel or so uncultured like animals is so completely off base. I've never seen animals that are as cruel as humans. Okay, and this is why I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, because only when human beings realize and can get out from their thinking realm, they can really live in full awareness. Okay, being in full awareness meaning that you are living above thoughts, that your field of consciousness is no longer dominated by thoughts. That's what it means, living in awareness, living in alignment with reality or with what is. And for you to be able to perceive things as they are, you have to be above thoughts, because thoughts are the filter. Okay? Thoughts are the projector. So whatever you see through the filter of thinking, that is what projection is. And that is what perception is. Perception is not reality, exactly because of that. Perception is always colored by your conditioning, by your preoccupation, by your programming, right? That is represented, those things are represented by the constant mental terrors, the constant thinking in your head. So if you still cannot separate between you, the observer, or you, the witness, and your own thoughts, that means you are still unconscious. You are still in the projection, you still live in the projections of your own conditioning. And as such, you see the world, you see things not as the world is, not as things are, but you see things and you see the world as you are. What do you mean as you are? Meaning as the ego perceives, interprets things, filters things. Okay? That's why with that kind of dysfunctional perception, you will also result the kind of dysfunctional view of the world and dysfunctional behaviors. And those dysfunctions lead to sorrow, to anguish, and to suffering. So if you're still suffering, you're still depressed, that means you're still not freed from this imprisonment that your mind creates, which is fine, ladies and gentlemen. So don't beat yourself up because of that, because that is a willy-nilly predicament of the vast majority of population in the world, right? So very few people who are already transcending thoughts. And again, I don't pretend that it's easy to do. What happened to me that I could see all these things happened by grace, not because, I was planning or trying. In fact, the more you try, the deeper you are in that realm of delusion. You see? So it's not going to happen when you're planning it, when you're thinking it will happen. It will happen when you least expect it. Just the same with everything in life. It's the same with probably your engagement stories, or the story that you meet your soulmate, or the guy who becomes your lover. It happened when you least expect it. So from now on, ladies, just empty yourself from all these expectations, all this idealization of how life should be. Just let go of everything, because you are not in control. The more you try to be in control, the more you will feel out of control. Okay, that is the paradox of life. But by realizing that you have no control whatsoever, you in fact become so powerful, because you no longer spend your energy on trying to make things happen, obsess, to cling, to attach to some imagined future or an outcome that creates so much entanglement in your life, creates so much suffering, so much anguish, and so many grievances in your life, because you feel that you're not good enough, because you cannot have what you think you should have. You see, only when you no longer have idea how your life should be, then you will become so powerful, because you no longer dwell in that neurosis zone of a split mind. So basically, neurosis zone is like that, split mind, thinking that who I am is not in alignment with the ideal self that I need to be or I should be. Again, where does that come from? We don't know, right? It just comes from what our wishful thinking or idealization or conditioning or pressure, So let go of all of that. You don't need any of that. Okay, live life just as freely as you can. Freedom is actually free, believe it or not. All right. So, and ladies, this is only like 9 days away to the retreat. So 20 ladies have signed up for the Labor Day weekend retreat that will start on August 30th. So we will, you guys, if you sign up, it's not still not too late to sign up. I'll probably take other 5 ladies, so make it 25. So you don't have to fight for space. 25 is about right. And you come on the 30th. That was a Thursday for a meet and greet. So you'll be wine and dine. So we'll just gonna have a good time that first evening. We're gonna serve you good food and good wine or champagne, and probably we're gonna jump in the hot tub and just get to know each other. Okay, so it's not too late to sign up for the retreat, ladies. Just sign up now and book your flights if you are outside California. If you're in California, yeah, it's probably you can drive, especially if you're in San Diego or Los Angeles. You're very close to me. Okay, if you cannot come the entire weekend, 30th through September the 3rd, you can also come just for one day, which is on the September 2nd. We will have the Leaning Back and Cultivating Feminine Mystique workshop just for that one day. So if you are perpetually single, for example, and you don't understand what's wrong with me, that my dating life never pans out, then we will dissect one-on-one and with the help of the other ladies, how we can tweak probably your energy so you could attract great men, high value man, right? So it's a rare opportunity to work direct one-on-one in the comfort of my beautiful home and my living room. All right, ladies. Okay, let me now read some questions that you have here. This is from Ellie. Ellie asks, I want to know about your goddess love jiu-jitsu, where by calming your own anxieties and expectations, it does the same for them. So my question is, how can I be more like you? Or how can I manage my own shit? How do I tell the difference between my reactiveness and my genuine spicy sense telling me I'm being stepped on? Is that more like a gut feeling? Okay, Ali. So here is my love jiu-jitsu, okay? First of all, it takes inner work. So, again, I wouldn't pretend that I was born knowing all these things. I wasn't. Like, I didn't know, in fact, all these things probably 5 years ago. When I first started venturing into the business, I was still very much on the mind level, my mind was filled with how to seduce a guy, how to make a guy want to commit with you. What kind of strategies do I need to make a guy sort of hook on you? And all kinds of how-tos that most of you who come to me are also thinking of, right? So, but eventually through trial and error, and again, as I said, it's all by grace. I didn't have any hand in all of this at all, actually. So just to be perfectly honest with you, how this happened? I had no idea. I have no clue, no freaking idea how. So it just happened. So that's what I'm saying. Life happens when you plan something else. So drop all the planning or all the obsession already, okay? Because you never know how your life is going to unfold. So when I first started, I started just like you guys are, right? There's a lot of questions, unanswered questions, a lot of needs to want to control, to want to fix things. But then I realized at that time that, all these things that, I thought I needed to have, I needed to do, hasn't really resulted in anything until one point I realized that when you just be, when you just so at peace with yourself, not trying to make things happen, guys begin to notice you. There's like something about you that is oozing this calming energy, calming effect that makes them bond to you. That is what I call, like, yeah, and a lot of people call feminine energy, but a lot of people got a very, they don't get really deep with their understanding of feminine energy. They think that feminine energy is just about, you know, not doing anything. But also in feminine energy, naturally, you don't worry about things because you're not thinking. You're not in the state of worrying or thinking or strategizing. You are completely out of your head because all the expectations, all the worries, they are residing in the head, Ellie. You know that? So when you get out of your head, you are naturally connected to reality, to what is, to your body, right? To your feelings. But you cannot really feel when you're busy thinking. So a lot of you who are upset, feeling upset, and they say, oh, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. You're not really feeling. But those feelings come from unskillful thinkings because you are so full with shoots in your head. And a lot of the time, of course, what is, or what reality is, not in the slightest in alignment with what you think things should be in your head, right? And because of that gap of what reality is and your idealization of reality, you become upset, you are angered by it. And all of a sudden you feel all these negative emotions that you have to express with feeling messages, right? So in actual reality, those people who are so obsessed about expressing their feelings, they really don't know how to feel. Because all those negative feelings come from unskillful thinking. They are not in their feminine energy. So if you want to practice this love jiu-jitsu, you have to know how to just be, how to surrender to, feminine energy, feminine vulnerability, for example. Again, being vulnerable isn't the same as being a basket case, like most people think. Oh, I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm scared. Yeah, because you're too busy in your head. If you're not in your head, you're not going to be scared of anything at all, right? So all the expectation, the anxieties are the byproducts of living in the mind level. So Ellie, if you want to be like Cat, just get out of the head, really. There is no other way. Just enjoy being, okay? And when you are not in your head, there is nothing to be reactive about. Because when you are out of your head, you're not thinking of I thoughts. What makes you reactive is when you are thinking of why the I, or how the I has been violated, or why the I has been slighted. That's what I mean by I thoughts, or sub stories, whatever, however way you want to call it. But you begin to think, I am miserable. I feel so disrespected. He's supposed to treat me like a queen. Now he's not even, like praising me or complimenting me for my new hairstyle and this and that. While probably, probably at the same time, he's not even, thinking about whether or not to like your hairstyle, because probably he's worrying about his own thing at work, for example. You see, that's what I mean by projection. You assume that people are doing things that makes you angry, right? While it's just your own projection of your own preoccupations in the moment, whatever it is. or unhealed wounds or unhealed issues. Okay? And just for example, like your question here. So how do I know that I'm not being stepped on? Well, maybe because you're not under his feet. That's how you know. You're just doing, you just be like what I'm doing right now, but you're feeling stepped on only because, the I starts making rules in your head that, I need to be treated this way or that way, otherwise I'm being stepped on. So be very mindful of the running commentary or the narrative that's running through your head at this very moment, or every moment of your waking life. Can you do that? Yeah, it takes awareness to be able to do that. It takes practice to be able to do that. So does that answer your question, Ali? Okay. Here, another question from Kitty. Is it necessary for a successful, long-lasting relationship to be able to talk about ex relationships? I often get triggered by those and tend to pull away. And I'm usually too scared to ask him about his. Is it a bad thing? Thank you. Thank you. Kitty, yeah, of course, if you are in a relationship with someone, sooner or later, the subject of exes will come up, right? So what are you going to talk about then? Don't give more weight than it actually has. Okay? So, but if it becomes like an obsession talking about ex, maybe that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. But if you're triggered by any mention of an ex, for example, that means, there's something that you need to heal within yourself. Why are you so insecure? Why you think you're not good enough compared to the ex? Why do you even think that way? Right? So, and how can anybody not have an ex at all? Right? So, unless you want to go date a 17-year-old guy or a 17-year-old guy, then, almost every guy on earth is going to have an ex or two or three or four or five. So, why do you have to be threatened by it? So if you are threatened by it anyway, feel the feeling. Let it arise without you trying to stop it or trying to fight it. Instead of being threatened by that feeling, be curious. Like I always say, be curious. What is it that this sort of feeling arising in my gut that makes me want to lash out on him just because he mentioned his ex? Sit with it. You see, whenever you feel something, it's not a free pass for you to react or overreact on every single thing that you feel. So instead of wanting to impulsively react or violently react, just let that feeling, that probably, whatever nausea or that sort of knot arises within your body, right? Just feel it. Be curious and let it happen. And don't try to pepper it with more ingredients or seasonings that you were lost in the identification to. That is what being unconscious really means, when you are always lost in the identification of every single thought that arises to make it as if that thought is you. Okay? So only when you practice to become more aware to moment sensation or feeling in your body, then you can start healing whatever it is that usually triggers you. Okay, and small victories lead to big victories, and then you will learn also, oh, now I understand. I really don't always have to react violently every time I feel a certain, negative feeling or emotion. I can just sit with it and let it dissipate. And every feeling or most feelings will dissipate when they are not resisted, when they are not confronted. Okay? So, what is virtue? Virtue is what is left in your consciousness. Sin is what disappears in your consciousness upon being watched. So, for example, anxiety, anger, resentment, hatred. You don't have to believe of what I say. You can practice it yourself. Whenever, for example, feeling of resentment arises within you, or anger or jealousy, watch it. What happens upon it being watched? If they disappear upon being watched, that is what sin is. But say it's a feeling of awe, love, forgiveness, uh, closeness. What happens when it's being watched? When it persists, when it stays upon being watched, that is what virtue is. And again, you don't have to believe what I say. Just do it yourself, and you can do it anytime when you're alone or even when you're with people. All of a sudden, a feeling arises and you're not so sure about how to respond to that feeling. Just watch that feeling very intently. If it disappears, then that is what sin is. If it stays, that is what virtue is. Okay, and through that understanding, through that awareness, you begin to know, you begin to be able to selectively choose the kind of thinking you want to indulge in. And you will see firsthand through direct experience that most thoughts, most thinking is or are so unnecessary. And you don't want to continue on that very train of thought, and you can just let it go. That is how I live my life. So these days, most of the time, I don't think anymore because I've come to the direct seeing, to the realization that any kind of thinking at all, more often than not, will create frictions inside of you. Will make you anxious. Even the so-called good thoughts will make you anxious. So best just not to indulge in any thought at all, in any thinking at all, and just be and just surrender to the moment without the involvement of the intellect or thinking. And of course, you can still intellectualize, you can still think, if you need to. So that is what I mean by becoming a deliberate thinker. So you no longer think willy-nilly, but you become a deliberate thinker. So you summon your thinking power because you need to. Like in my line of work, I need to summon my thinking power to put all the insights that I see and I experience moment to moment into a coherent words, like what I'm doing right now. I need to think that to be able to convey it to you all. That's all I do my thinking for these days. No longer thinking about my life. Oh, why am I like this? Why am I like that? Why? No, I no longer think in that term anymore. Because why? There's no use for that. Okay? And you can too, one day, make a conscious decision not to do that. Right now it's probably hard because thinking the mind is very compelling, right? The mind is like drug. Like this is the strongest drug ever known to mankind, thinking. So it's very hard for most people not to think because it's very compelling. You're always compelled to dwell in thinking. Isn't it true? So only those very few people who already see firsthand that, thinking very rarely amounts to any positive thing in life. They start choosing when to think and only think when they need to. All right? This is from Louisa. How does one make peace with the possibility that they might not or never end up with the one person they have always hoped to end up with? Well, Louisa, what kind of thought that you indulge in that makes you come to the conclusion that if you don't end up with any person that you imagine your life to be, that your life is going to be hell or shitty? What kind of assumption do you employ, first of all? So if you if you hang on your happiness onto anything at all, onto mere mortal, especially, or any idea of a certain future, yeah, that is what being unconscious is all about. Why do you believe in it? Who told you that that is the whole truth? Okay? So be very curious. Why do I even think that, my life will be shitty unless that I end up with the guy that I hope to end up with? Be very curious. As I say, all these assumptions in your head are why your life is so difficult, because you make it a gospel, like, oh, it's absolutely true that unless my life is this way or that way, I'm going to feel really lousy. If you never challenge yourself, if you never question your assumptions, of course, you're going to suffer really deeply and unnecessarily. That is, the very definition of neurosis that I've been saying for at least the last few years. That's what neurosis is. That's what being neurotic is. Worrying about, or being restless about things that don't really matter. That only alive and real in your head, because they are founded on a set of very false assumptions that you take as absolutely true. So don't do that then. Don't live life based on any assumption at all. Live life freely, free of any assumption, free of any prejudice. Well, sometimes we need to be prejudiced too. I have to sort of refresh it a little bit, because duality is not about this way or that way. It's about both ways. It's about a balancing act. What you need moment to moment. What is necessary in the moment. Okay. So, but if you always live your life on prejudice, on assumptions or false assumptions, and you have no means to approach it any different way, that means you're out of balance. Then you have to practice the opposite way. Okay. So eventually, like I always say, you've come to the center, you come to the middle, in which your vantage point is 360 degrees. You could see from all directions, and you could take everyone's position and everyone's role. And through that all-encompassing vantage point or view of life and the world, you become a well-rounded human being. You become wholesome. Wholeness and holiness are one and the same. So when someone say, someone is a holy person, it's basically because he or she is a whole person. He or she has reintegrated every part of his or every part of him or her, so they no longer get triggered by perception of otherness they see in other people, because they have seen all those things come together in themselves. That's what it means to have come to the center. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Another question. Oh, let me drink first, ladies. This is from Francis. I miss my main guy that I've been seeing for 8 months. He's a bit of an EUM, and it's a friends with benefits situation. And I don't like the situation. We had slight disagreement via text, and I didn't like his response. I feel like I've shown him in a lot of ways that I like him, but he likes things as they are. I'm annoyed with him, but still like him. What should I do? Haven't talked or heard from him for almost a week. Francis, are you new with me? Have you at least read my ebook? I have so many both free and paid resources on how to turn your friend with benefit situation into a relationship. I actually conducted a HIT class recently, not long ago, how to get out of the friend zone. And another one, oops, sorry, my lipstick here. And another one, if he offers a friends with benefits, how should I respond? So I will post the links for you to check those 2 classes, how to get out of the friend zone and how to respond when a guy offers you friends with benefits. Will give you so much insight on what to do in situations like yours. But if you haven't read my ebook yet, please start with the ebook, because the ebook has the basics on what attracts masculine guys. Probably you've been in the position of a pursuer, chasing, bringing the talk, leaning forward so much, trying to fix, which depolarizes you and him. So that is why a guy will appear as commitment phobe, because they are not inspired enough to want to to get themselves trapped in a relationship with you, because they feel that you're not very easy to be with. You're not easy to lead. You always have something to talk. And usually what comes out of your mouth is, the things that he doesn't do, right? The negative things, the nagging, the whining. That is basically bottom line why guys are very gun shy about committing to a relationship. It's not that they're commitment phobe. Yeah, of course they're scared of committed to a woman who will make their life a living hell. That is why. So now, you said you had a disagreement via text. You see, so a lot of texting, a lot of expectation that he has to tend to chit-chatting with you through text, for example, and then discussing issues like you had through text. That is not what I teach. Okay, so keep texting to the minimum, not to blabber. Like, don't write novels upon novels on texting. It will not be taken the right way by any guy. Most guys don't read long texts. In fact, they stop after 2 sentences. Okay, if you have something to talk about, and again, you got to be very cognizant of this, be mindful about the need to always talk, right? Because what I teach is to talk less. It's better if you do it like face to face. Now, before you start bringing up the talk of every little thing that troubles you, you really need to dwell in my teachings. So learn the basics first. Try to understand the soul of the teachings. Then you will can turn most of your situations. My teachings have turned most unlikely situations, ladies. You and become husbands or become fiance, and even exes coming back. Any kind of situation, my teachings will help you fix it without fixing it. That is the paradox again. You can fix the situations without being in a masculine role of fixing. You fix it with your energy. You fix it by not erecting barriers. You fix it by embracing a path of no resistance. It's extremely profound what I teach. And if you just first found me, you wouldn't get it. Okay? Because it's nothing like being taught out there by anyone. I have to tell you that. All right. This is from Mary. After 12 years, I still feel like a friend with benefits on his terms. I do love him and try to stay in each moment and appreciate the time we do have. But I end up hurt and hating it. Mary, again, you seems like you're new to my teachings. I have free stuff on YouTube, on my video sections, or both my personal page and my fan page. So you might want to check and listen to each one of them. And get the ebook, please. The ebook is not expensive. Compared to the results I bring about, $57 or $67, it's nothing. Okay, it's totally nothing. Change your life. And you get membership, lifetime membership to my fabulous and very transformational secret group as well. A lot of ladies, they get engaged, get married, get their exes back by just being a member of my secret group. That is how powerful the group is. Okay, that is actually, the group is one of the main reasons why I come up with success story day in, day out, consistently the last 4 or 5 years. Okay. Here's from Olivia. I'm doing much better than I thought I would be. 1 week post breakup. No cry, no drama, not missing the guy much. I'm proud to say that I've been a cat girl throughout the relationship. He still broke up with me without any remorse. I'm curious. What is your thought on what makes a guy come back to the woman? Maybe it's my ego trying to know, as I feel I have done everything right, but he still left me. Thank you and love you. Happy birthday. And by the way, I have got a job since this Monday already. Wow. Congratulations, Olivia. I'm glad that you got your job. You got the job. Okay. I had a client before. She's married now. So, and in fact, I interviewed her in the goddess interview. Her name is Kelly. So if I'll post it later under your comment. Kelly has done everything right, but her EUM at that time still dumped her, right? So it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's not about you, it's about the guy. And what happened after he broke up with her, they got back together, right? And it wasn't easy. Even after they got back together, they still were involved in another sort of episode in which she was so hurt because I think he called her a bitch or something like that. So she was very hurt and angry. And of course, everybody else in the group say, "Oh, dump him and this and that." I was like the only one. You don't have to you don't have to make a decision now, right? Because feelings come and go. Just let it settle, see what happens. The next few days or a week or two from now, if he comes back and apologizes and trying to make amends, yeah, why not? Don't start planning about things that haven't happened yet. Don't anticipate. That's what I always say to you. Don't anticipate. Just live for now. If right now your feeling is a bit raw, you're very hurt, you're feeling betrayed, and so on and so forth, be okay with it. Surrender to that feeling. But also realizes feelings come and go. Tomorrow you might not feel the same way, or next week even, or the next month, next year, right? You're not gonna feel the same way. So let whatever you feel in the moment stew. Let it sit, settle. You don't have to create more entanglement, add more stories, like embellish it further that make you angrier. Just sit with it. Let it settle. Let the mud settle so the water become clear again. So I'm sure, they would make up. And sure enough, they did make up, but she disappeared until probably a year or two later. She announced in the group that thanking me that without your help, I would never have been able to turn this around. Now she was engaged. I believe they are married now. So she was one of the engagements of the 36 engagements this year, I believe, or maybe last year. So many of you, I can't. That's one, Olivia. Another one, of course, is with Natasha. Natasha is she's one of my favorite people. She's so receptive. She never argued with me. She just comes, to every class and listen and practice what I teach. There are a few of you who just do that. I don't hear a lot from you, but I know that you're doing what I tell you to do, right? So Natasha broke up with her guy not once, but twice. And both because he wasn't sure he wanted to be with her. He wasn't understanding. He didn't understand why his feelings weren't growing strong enough for her. So he broke up with her once and they got back 6 months later. And he broke up again a few months later because he said, my feelings toward you aren't growing. So I need to sort these things out. You see, guys need to be 100% sure before they commit to anything long-term with you, and be okay with it. It has nothing to do with you. If you've done everything right, the way I teach you, trust he'll be back. He just needs time to decompress, to really process, to really see how he feels without you. Give him the chance to miss you. And sure enough, now Natasha is engaged to the same guy who broke up with her twice. So she was one of the 11 engagements in July. So Olivia, if you have done what I've been teaching you, worry not. If he's not coming back, then just release him with love. Be happy that and hope that he'll find the love that he seeks, even though not with you or not in you. But love is freeing. Love is free and freeing. Love doesn't bind, doesn't contain. That is the true love that I teach you. Release him with love. And believe me, whenever you let go like that, release it to the universe, he will sort of receive that that energy in the airwave, and then all of a sudden he just thinks of you fondly, and he's missing you, and then he's reaching out and he wants to see again what's going on. Why am I thinking about her now? I thought, you know, my feelings wasn't growing toward her, but now I'm missing her. See, a guy just needs a chance to miss you, to want to come back stronger than he ever was. So, okay, I hope that answered your question. And remember to keep us posted. Thank you. Ladies, it's been over an hour and I'm kind of tired, and we need to go to my birthday dinner too. So let's see what other last, maybe there is last question that I can read here. Oh gosh. Okay, I'll answer one more question from Tatiana. Tatiana says, how do you approach a person of your past who you know loves you, but you hurt them? I know apologizing is the first step, but how do you place yourself so they would take the lead? Hopefully my questions make sense. Well, have you apologized? You have? Then move on. You know, before you can move on, of course, you have to forgive yourself, okay? Just forgive yourself. I conducted a class on self-forgiveness last week, so you might want to listen to that class. But the thing is, you have expectation. Now you have apologized that you expect him to take the lead and to pursue you again. It might not be unfolding the way you expect to unfold, Tatiana. So just let go. Again, you cannot control how things unfold. Okay? So if you have apologized, then just let go. The ball is on his court. Okay, Tatiana? And again, stop living life aiming at any goal or any destination or anyone, any guy. Okay, your life will just as perfectly fine without a certain idea how it needs to be. Doesn't have to be with this guy or that guy. You can have the happiness, you know, with any guy. Obviously, good, decent guys, and there will be good, decent guys who will like you back. So do not have a scarcity mentality that he's the only one who can give you the kind of love and life and relationship that you ever dreamed of. That is a lie that you swallow hook, line, and sinker. Don't believe in everything that your mind tells you. Okay, Tatiana? And thank you everyone for being here. I'll see you again sometimes, probably next week before the retreat. And please, if you're considering to come to the retreat, especially if you have to fly from another state or another country, this is your last call. Sign up for the retreat and I'll wine and dine you here in this place, probably in the hot tub or in my kitchen or living room. All right, see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.